I say to myself, you go to shul, you pray God for forgiveness. Maybe God should ask me for forgiveness. I didn't do anything wrong to him. I obey his prayers, his honoring. Maybe he should ask me for forgiveness.
Once you lived through life, you can never be free of your past.
Every inferno starts with a little spark.
My number is 80942. 8942.
A9018.
My number is A9297.
28.000, 28.000, das ist 20.800, 335.
What they tattooed me is KL. They named it Konzentrationslager, KL. I took this for Kodesh Lashem, holy to God, sacrificed for God.
Maybe you don't let the past quarrel with the present, but you cannot ignore it either. And this is where I come in. I am a Holocaust child. I'm 75 and a half years old and going back to being a child. I was born in 1935, May 15th, in Sibiu, is the Romanian name for the city where I come from.
I was born in Czechoslovakia, in the Carpathian Mountain, in a little village called Polanka near Munkac.
I was the oldest of 5. I had two brothers and 2 sisters more, which they all perished in 1943 in Auschwitz.
We heard in 1938 that in Germany the Jewish people were expelled or run away. We sat Saturday, had a good meal, and we said, oy vey, oy vey.
We were condemned people, I say it now. I feared the Germans, but I never really thought that they would eventually come around and kill us all.
The German Hitler Youth started attacking me for no other reason but because I was a Jew. And my best friend, Yonchi, was one of the groups, and I ran away till he finally caught up with me. I said, Yonchi, how the hell can you, my best friend, suddenly hate me just because I was born a Jew? Did anybody ask you whether you were going to be born a German? He says, yeah, but Hitler tells us we got to get rid of the Jews. And suddenly all the Jews were being attacked, like really, really attacked.
My mother went out to buy something for the children, milk or bread, I don't know. And she came back, she was hysterical. She said to my father, Moshe, you don't know what's going on in this city. They took out all the elderly people, religious with beards and face. And they're hitting them, they're cutting the beards. It's like the screams are going, you can hear them in heaven.
The night when they told them to kill people, they took everybody to the city hall and they put the men together and the children with the moms together.
When the Germans came into Poland, they divided it between Russia. They took the eastern part of Poland they did for the Russians, and the western part was for the Germans, and that's how they kept it. And of course, things were not good. the Jews started to feel, and then they were started to talk about among themselves. They heard they're going to open up a ghetto in Warsaw, and they're going to put all the Jews in there, and who knows what else is going to happen.
To make it short, we went into the ghetto, close to 30,000 Jews. And when we liquidated the ghetto 3 years later, we were only 7,000.
Father took me down to the basement and gave me a watch that he received as a bar mitzvah from his father, a golden watch. And he buried that watch, and he said to me, Yosele, I don't know if I will live to you bar mitzvah. I don't know what's going to happen. And he explained to me the importance of this watch, the importance that this represents time. Time is value. Time is to use it, to study, to serve God.
They were bombing, and we heard the sound of bombs falling. So my mother decided we should go to the cemetery. In case we get killed, we should be on the place, like on the cemetery.
We moved into the ghetto, and the first thing we had to deal with, or my father had to deal with, is to hide us. Because if children were there, they were taken away into a extermination camp and never been seen from again.
So myself, my mother, and younger sister went into an attic to hiding, and we stayed there for several weeks.
They took us on trains, but it was very early in the time, and they did not know how many trains they can take. And at that time, they took just too many, and they stopped the trains in a no man's land, and the other part of the train left to the concentration camps. Somehow it was coming a Russian train towards us, and they attached us. And for 3 months we were from place to place. At the end we ended up in Siberia.
And then we were staying in the ghetto, but 2-3 weeks. And then came an order, we have to go to, was over there a big synagogue in the Yiddish Gas. Used to call the Yiddish Gas, the Jewish street. And everybody we went over there, and over there it was the Germans, and everything what you had with you, you took with you, and the Germans took us with the train to Germany, to Auschwitz.
And Mengele, before, I didn't know that time that he's Mengele, small Yamin. He took me out. He took us that way. You have to go on this way. And she said, you know, he saved your life. I say, what height is the under outside? They go into this big room, and they in a half an hour they won't be here.
When the Germans came in, he was by an aunt, and the aunt took him with her baby and her children with a lot of bedding, and they took them all into a schoolhouse. The Germans came in and they started shooting, and the aunt put him behind the bedding, and he survived, and her children didn't.
It was something so incredible that even when we got here, we had a hard time to adjust and to believe what we're seeing. If you can imagine arriving the first day and they were separated. The next day you ask somebody, where's my parents? They show you up in heaven. They show you the smoke. The smell, that happened to be that particular week we arrived, the crematoriums were overloaded, and it took children and then burned them alive. So the smell of a child's skin got to me, and I said to my brother, let's get out of here.
I remember my father taking me and my sister, my older sister, and taking us in front of the gate of the lager, or the camp. And he turned to me and to my sister, and he said to me, Moshe, take your sister and go and save yourselves. So you can imagine today, say it to a child of 3, 5, 10, take your sister and go save yourselves. So I remember my first reaction. My father was a tall man. I looked up at him. I said, Ta, what are you sending? What are you sending us away? He knew that the only way that he could save us is to really send us away.
The average lifespan in our camp was about a month or 2. I was there for 8 months in that camp of Auschwitz. And when they death marched us, out of the 40,000 people, maybe 8,000 were alive by the time we got there to Gleiwitz. And then they put us into open coal carrying cars. This is in the winter, in January.
And we lie down close each to the other one. We should warm up. We should warm up because it's cold, winter, snow, it's freezing. We lie down at one to the other one. In the morning when you wake up, you see, you was here in the both sides, dead people, holding that piece of bread.
And out of the 120 people that they put into the cattle car, by the time 5 or 6 days later, by the time we arrived in Buchenwald, only about 8 of us were alive because there was no food, no water, and the only thing that saved my life whenever we went under a bridge, and ice fell down, so I was able to put it in my mouth,
I have typhoid, and pneumonia also. I don't eat 20 days. 20 days? Now, how I survived 20 days without food? Every night, come by me in Chulem, a Jew, tabuet. I don't know welche Seite was, who was it, I don't know. Yeah? I was conscious, everything I was conscious, you know, I was not, somebody's not conscious. And give me juice to drink, Schmiel drink. And I drink the juice, what he give me in sleep, and it make me better.
He always would tell me the blood was running down the stream on the cobblestones, and he was just running barefooted. He didn't know where he was. He came to Bielski Brigade.
He was too young to be a fighter, but he was among the fighters who saved 1,200 people.
We walked once from a walking area to our camp, and I saw the Germans unloading white bread. So I grabbed a loaf of bread, and a guard was chasing me. When we came to the gate, everybody was in, and he kept me back. by the gate, and then they put me between the fence and the electric wiring. I thought for sure they're going to hang me. And first I thought to myself, so I touched the electric wiring, and I looked up to the sky, and I thought, the only thing I knew is say Shema, and I prayed to God. I looked the clouds. I wasn't crazy. I'm still not crazy. I think I saw God in the clouds. And I thought, should I touch the electric wiring or not? I said, I will wait. I will see what my punishment will be. A guard came out and he told me he's going to give me 25 lashes. I was so happy.
I escaped, but they caught me. Luckily, the sergeant who I worked for is the one who caught me. So we were able to really, they caught not only myself, but they caught 90 other people. They brought us to a place, and I'm listening to him, and it was a crematorium. And he says to the guy, I have these people, I will have to get rid of them. So I said to him, I got 3 days corpse here. I cannot take anymore. So it took us to a labor camp where the Polish people were slave laborers, okay? And from there, he said, who cannot run, go on a side. So 40 people went on the side. He came in 5 minutes later with his Luger, and they kept on shooting one after another. What condition we were not able to. There was one man that killed 40 people in front of us. Nobody made one move. Just to show you how inhuman we became. Today, he wouldn't last 5 minutes.
The Lagerführer, the SS kommt, who want to stay in life, come with me. Come with him. And they went, there was 7,000 people, or 8,000 people. 1,500 people went with him. Nobody come back. They went in the wood, in the Wald, you know, and then they kill him.
After about 3 or 4 months, they started evacuating Buchenwald. And I knew that I wasn't going to be able to march. I didn't have the strength. And I just refused to go. So we just laid down and they were shooting at us. One of the bullets scraped me. And I just said, no, we're going to stay there. And I don't know how. Shooting stopped. I was able to crawl back to outside of the barrack. Whether I was there 1 or 2 days, I don't know.
And by April 29th, I was liberated by the Russians. So when I came out, I went directly to the Russian headquarters. As I go to the Russian headquarters, in front of me, as I'm coming in, because I had no paper, in front of me there is a major with a Hungarian uniform. I start screaming at him. And the Russian says to me, Ty понимаешь венгерский? Do you speak Hungarian? I said, yes, I do. Ходи сюда. Took me aside, put me in the other room, wash up, gave me a little food, and gave me a uniform. And I became, within 24 hours of my liberation, the first perevodchik, which means an interpreter, Russian-Hungarian.
But then I heard tanks again. And when I opened up my eyes and I looked over and I said, oh my God, there's tanks, but it doesn't look German. It didn't have the swastika. And when the turret opened up, I saw a helmet and I saw a black face, and I've never seen a black person before in my life. And I said, oh, maybe God sent angels and they're black. And that soldier somehow got out, came, picked me up, and he was nothing short of an angel.
We were saved by the Russians, and I remember like today, there was one officer, a Jewish Russian officer. He put me on his arm took an onion, stuck it in my mouth, and made me bite down. In the other hand, he had a bottle of vodka, poured some vodka down my throat, and this is how I revived. And from there on, I never stopped drinking vodka.
We're on the train, and the train slowed down, and we realized we're approaching Vienna. And my father was standing here, and the window was there, and I'm facing my father. And my father is just holding on to me like that and says, God will help us. God will guide us. God will tell us what to do. Don't be so full of hatred and so full of anger. You have to get rid of it. I made a beautiful daughter. I want her back. And as he speaks, I see him starting to cry and sobbing. He was a big man, handsome, big man, even the way he was. And he is sobbing like a baby, and he cannot talk. And I said, my God, he got a stroke, something happened. And then he took me and turned me around. And outside were about 12 Israelis from the Sochnut with the Israeli flag, singing the Hatikvah, which I did not know, but my father was humming, and yelling and screaming in every language possible. Are there any Jewish people on the train? Is there anybody Jewish that needs help? And I was just like, what?
All through the years in the bunker, what did I know? I knew only hide yourself from the Polacks, from everybody was an enemy. And here comes a soldier in his uniform. And he says, I'm a Jew too, and he saves our lives. As little as I was, and as young and as starved, when he held me in my hands, I knew that this was a very special place that I was.
I wish I will take avenge, I will avenge, or God will avenge, or it will be avenged somehow what they did to my family, to my people, to the Jewish people. And this is called Nekama.
You'll ask me how many grandchildren. And I'm not going to answer because I don't count grandchildren. This is my Nekama, my revenge. Machmom, the Germans, and the Lithuanians, and all the murderers.
My anger of the Germans was always on my shoulder. And I realized it didn't bother them. It was destroying me. So I made a conscious effort for survival, not to forget, but to leave it in a place where I can deal with it and know what they did to us.
In 1973, Emory University called a conference of Holocaust survivors, liberators, and prisoners of war. And I'm sitting with one of the American prisoners, a professor at Emory University, and Dr. Blumenthal, and the president of Emory University. And I look at a guy, and he looks at me, it's a black guy, and he gets up, and I get up, and it's that soldier that saved my life in Buchenwald.
Is the Gules Mitzrayim was bigger, stronger than Holocaust? Of Holocaust was stronger. I tell you. In Mitzrayim, I wasn't in Mitzrayim. I wasn't. In Holocaust, I was. I know one thing. Steht, Mitzrayim yordu Yisrael b'shivim nefesh. 70 people went to Mitzrayim. They come out 3 millions or how much, I don't know, just it was millions and millions. The Holocaust went 6 millions, and went out 300,000 of 250,000.
I saw a world destroyed. And Baruch Hashem, I saw a world build up. To me, it's more than just I have a family, children. To me, it's a return.
Every funeral that I went for the last 68 some odd years, okay, I was burying my parents over and over again. I finally, after 66 years, I came to the ashes of my parents in Auschwitz, in Birkenau, okay, and I put down some Yerushalayim sand, and that was really my closing of that particular thing. It was something which is unbelievably satisfying, and that gives me energy and strength to continue. Otherwise, I could not do it.
They did not succeed it. They wanted to. Look at us now with our schools, with our children, with our communities, the way we are organized in religious things, in yeshivas, universities. We contribute a lot. They didn't succeed it.
Don't give up. Don't give up of us. Fight for your life. And be a Jew.
כל שיש בידו למחות ולא מיכה. If you see a crime being committed and you can prevent it and you allow it, you are guilty. Right? So if you are the boss and you could prevent it and you don't, to me, you are guilty, you are a murderer. So I say that if God exists, then he's a murderer, or he's powerless. He has no power.
You come to shul here?
Hey?
Do you come to shul?
Yes, I come.
Why do you come?
Because I cannot be one of them.
Tell me.
Hey?
Tell me that a little more.
I cannot be one of them. I cannot be one of them. It's us or them.
So regardless of God existing or not existing,
I don't daven when I come. I never daven. Never. But I come.
what about God? Do you forgive God?
I forgive God. I have no choice. If I want to believe in him, I have to forgive him. Same thing, he has to forgive me for saying that I want him to ask me for forgiveness. You understand? He has to forgive me also for saying the word, I want you to forgive me.